Hey y'all, it's Crystal. I am in the garden and I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of garden phase 2 of the garden this year. Got all kinds of plants growing. A lot of stuff is doing really good. This is July 3rd. Most gardens around here are completely done. And mine is not. I've got brand new plants that I just put in that I actually started from seed. A lot of these, what you're looking at here, all the squashes and the cucumbers and the okra, those were all started from seeds. Now the tomato, they were started by seed in the greenhouse, which is right over there. So like I said, here in Southeast Texas, most people's gardens are starting to fizzle out, and this phase 2 is actually going pretty strong. Hopefully we get a nice good crop. There is phase 1 over there, and it's starting to kind of fizzle out, starting to turn a little yellow. Everything in there is slowing down, but it's okay. It's totally fed us. I've been able to put stuff away in the freezer, give things away, so it's you know, really done its job. But the main reason for the video today is that I wanted to talk about my little experiment I've got going on here. Now, I am a firm believer in mulch. 3 years ago, we transformed the garden. We remodeled it from beds to what you see here. And I think the original garden was from right about here on over to the corn. And so anyway, we attempted to do the Back to Eden method. Well, we're very rural out here, so I have not been able to get any free wood chips or any wood chips of any kind. I actually had to go and the first year an 18-wheeler came in here, not quite an 18-wheeler, my husband will probably correct me, it was a really big truck, and they dumped, I don't even know how many yards of mulch, and it was aged mulch, and that cost, I want to say, around $1,500 for the materials, and then I had labor on top of that. Lot of mulch, and I didn't get the results that you see in the video. A lot of people were saying, you know, because the mulch was eating up the nitrogen and, you know, all different kinds of things. We also had a lot of rain that year, and I had a carpenter ant infestation. So there's probably a lot of factors going on. So last year, I had to recover the garden again. So I brought in more material. This time, didn't have to bring in quite as much. Brought in, it was less than $1,000 in materials, another big, huge truck, plus labor. And so fast forward to this year. Oh, last year, I didn't get the results that I had hoped for either. We had some long yard beans, we had some cantaloupes, but I mean, it was just really nothing. Nothing to justify the now over $2,000 that I have spent in the last 2 years. So this year, looking at the soil again, I noticed that all the mulch has basically gone and it's turned into really nice soil, and I needed to cover the ground again. Well, I had a choice to make. Either spend out the big bucks, you know, shell out that money and buy mulch again, or do something else. Now, hubby's got a wood shop, and I get a lot of wood shavings from the wood shop, but not quite enough to cover the garden. So over in this corner right over here next to that pen, I had a bale of hay that I was feeding the horses off of. Roscoe got a hold of the bale of hay and rolled in it, and it was quite funny. He you know, he looked like he was making snow angels. So anyway, I walked over and I saw how flat the hay was, and oh, we have a little problem there. I have to give it some extra attention tonight. Not too sure what's going on with that plant. That's one of my 800-year-old squashes, and I'll have to take a look at it. Maybe it's a little dry or something. It's really hot out here right now. But anyway, I walked over to the bale of hay. It was really flat, but underneath was really super moist, and the ground was really moist, and all the grass had died. So I immediately brought that hay and put it on my 800-year-old squash and really liked the results. we're walking along. I wanted you to see, I've weeded here and there, but not, like a big heavy weed. So anyway, I decided to go ahead and put more hay down. So I went and bought, I think it was 6 bales of hay. I spent a total of $48. I still have one bale. We look over there. Still have one bale left. And it's basically that $48 has covered almost all of phase 2, which is actually pretty big. I don't know how big the garden is. I know it's over 80 by 60 right now, I think. Pretty sure. It's a pretty big garden. But anyway, as we're walking along, and it's really hot out. I think that's what some of the problem is with some of the plants. They don't look as chipper as they did this morning. But as you can see, as we're walking along, every now and again, we see a little weed. But for the most part, this hay has kept out all the weeds, which is what I want. Phase 1 over there was just the old wood chips, and it's just full of weeds. We've done nothing but weed. And it's really kind of a pain in the butt. And as we're walking along, this right here is bare soil that we're looking at right there. And you can see where you see bare soil, you're going to see weeds. Where you don't see bare soil, you don't see weeds. Probably about 90% of the weeds are gone with the hay. Now, there has been some debate on YouTube and different blogs about how the hay will actually seed for next year and your garden will just be full of hay. Well, I did a little bit of research looking into this after, I had the grand idea of putting hay down just for the mulch factor. And there was a lady born in the late 1800s, Ruth Stout, I believe. And I don't know, you might have heard of the Ruth Stout Method. And what she did in her 40s, she kind of went to this using this hay method. And her belief was you keep adding the hay on top. As long as the seeds are not exposed to sunlight and, the dirt, it doesn't seem to sprout. That's according to her. Now she, had like 3 or 4 decades of doing this method of gardening. So, I have to kind of believe and kind of go with what she had to say about it. So that's where we're at. I'm going to continue with this method. After phase 1 is done, I will go ahead and implement some more hay over there. But just to show you, like you can see the bare ground over here. You see the bare ground and you see weeds all over here. And this morning I added some wood sawdust. Actually, it's not really sawdust. When I think it's dust, I think it's fine sand, like sand. This is more like wood shavings. So I added this morning, and then I'll put the hay on top of it. I'm not even going to weed. The hay will really smother things out, and what it doesn't smother out, it'll be easy just to pick out. So that's where we're at. That was my reasoning behind doing the hay. Let's walk over to, oh, look, bare ground. This is kind of where phase 1 starts. And you can see the bare ground, lots and lots of weeds. This was covered, I don't know, a month or so ago. So, right next to each other. And you see 90% less weeds. And this is just it's probably 1 to 2 inches of the wood shavings and bare ground. That's the only reason why I did it. Just to show you a little bit more. You see in here, this is the yellow squash, and you can just see it's just full of grass. Full of grass. So, I guess I really won't know if my hay has gone to seed because this was just full of grass anyway. So, anyway, just wanted to, I know people have been asking and questioning me, and look at that. Just wanted to show you. That's a zucchini. I'm letting that go to seed for next year. And I've also got a big, huge squash, yellow squash in there with lots of warts that I'm letting going to seed. I mean, we've been out here every day, every day weeding. And you see phase 1 is just full of weeds. It was so full of weeds, so tall, that my Ozark giant peppers just didn't stand a chance. Absolutely just didn't stand a chance. So hopefully now they'll get a chance. That guy, I kept him pretty weeded out, that tomato plant. But the rest of it, you just see, it's grass. All these, this was just weeded, if you can believe that. And look, it's just full again. So I'll go through here and I will put down some hay. I have to buy another $50 worth of hay and put it down. What is that? Oh, that's a duck egg, y'all. Either Roscoe brought it into the garden or one of the crazy ducks was out here and it decided to lay an egg. Anyway, so it's hot and I'm going to get in here and go back into the house and can up some yellow squash and some zucchini. So I've got to get back to work. I will chat with y'all later. Have a good day.